Evening. How are you guys doing today? We got a good one for y'all. You read the titles of this story. This is about the 2002 Minor Tigers. Very good team. We didn't accomplish the ultimate goal, but we had fun. I'm actually learning how to write screenplays. I want to be a director one day, but I'm trying to make a 30 for 30 or make a movie or a documentary about 2000 Minor and 2002, graduating class of 2001, graduating class of 2003. Trying to make it because I think it's a good story, sort of similar to Friday Night Lights. Before I start this video, I would like to give a special shout out and thank you to the McDaniels. Danny parents allowed me, him and Pete, 8 Ball and Clarence to come over, eat. They fed us. We relaxed before every game. Never bothered us, never asked us anything. Just gave us a safe place to be. I would like to say thank you to the McClures, Mike McClure and his family, running the Tiger Pride Booster organization, and then to the Strickland family, in particular Mr. Strickland running the boosters, and Andrew Jones's parents, who did a tremendous job of getting things done for us behind the scenes. As far as food, attire, taking care of the families, getting everything done so the coaches and the team could operate. I would like to give you a thank you. As you can see on this shirt, this is a Minor High School shirt. This video is about Minor today. I'm going to tell you a story today about my senior year. And at this point, it culminated to what would be known as a great season. We just fell short of our goal. We had everything except size. Minor in 2000, we had great size to go along with speed and strength. In 2002, we had more strength and speed, and we was a little undersized. But we made up for that with some players that absolutely could flat out fly. Very fast guys. We had great speed, great quickness, great instincts, and it led us on a historic run that culminated at the Hoover Met. Oh, wow. So today I'm going to tell you guys a story, and this is in first person mode. I'm telling you a story from my eyes. I know some people may say some things may be exaggerated, but this is the story, and it's my story, and I'm sticking to it, and I'm telling it my way. High school football has started. The starting quarterback of my high school, I actually went to school with his mother, so obviously we're getting old. And I still remember coming back to the stadium, getting dressed, going out for warm-ups, spatting up, walking out that side door next to the dip bars, hearing those cleats, metal spike cleats on that concrete and on that floor, walking out, getting the end zone, captains going out, coin tosses over, everybody coming together, busting through the paper, and then Minor Tigers rolled. We roared. We called it the House of Pain, the Tiger Cage, because only the Tigers get out alive. I said this before, and I'll say it again. You probably had a better chance of robbing a bank or slapping the president or Pope. It was that hard to come down Minor Parkway and get a victory. I compare it to Florida State's home winning streak, Florida and Miami's home winning streak. It was very tough to win in that type of environment. Sold out games. Games would be so packed, fire marshal had to shut it down. We didn't have everything they have now. We just had one concession stand. They used to sell tickets in the field house, no ticket booth, and they didn't have the away locker room, none of that. We used to practice behind the field, on the field, and in front of the school or on the concrete. So I'm going to get into it. I'm going to start with the defense. Our defensive line was undersized, but they made up for it with power and speed and quickness. We had Little Cub, which is Courtney Covington, Big Cub's brother, and he really should have been Big Cub. But he wore number 54, and he switched to number 80 because he played tight end. I asked him one day why you didn't switch to 45. He kind of looked at me and laughed. I didn't think about it. But Courtney was a highly sought after recruit. He had great size, great speed, strength, and instincts. We had Galen Hayden at the other defensive end, number 13. And Galen ran track, was a dominant basketball player in high school, and he played wide receiver and defensive end, long arms, rangy, baby Plan B, baby Brandon Johnson. He could read the run, play the pass, attack the quarterback, and he can flat out get it. We had rest in peace. We had Kevin Blanks at the nose tackle, and we had Danny McDaniel at defensive tackle / nose guard. These two guys were vastly undersized. They probably went into most games 40 or 50 pounds lighter. But I've seen with my own eyes Danny McDaniel and Kevin Blanks shut down an entire offensive line. You did not run on us, and we made you one-dimensional because our defense was one of the better defenses in the state, not just 6A. Secondary was one of the top secondaries in the state, as well as ranked nationally. So you didn't run on us. Our defensive line was vastly undersized, but they could keep the linemen off the linebackers. They was fast and quick. Our Mike, which is the middle, was a batshit crazy guy named Clarence Fuller. Clarence played reckless, and he played with bad intentions. And when he found the football, normally it was going to be a hard hit. It was going to be a textbook fundamental tackle, and you were going to the ground. At the Sam, one of the smartest people I know, not just football, but intellect, Drew Jones, played that position. He could cover. He was strong enough to take on blocks. He could read and react, and he had a will and a heart. And he went about 5'10", 5'11", and he played it. At the weak side, the wheel was one of my best friends, Demetrius Williams, and Jeremy May. They kind of rotated that thing. But both of those guys brought very different traits to linebacker. Pete was short, but he was a jack-in-the-box. You set him off, he was like a missile. Pete was always around the ball, always making big plays. Jeremy May was a freak of nature type athlete. He can cover, he can run, he can do multiple things that brought along. In our secondary at that time, we started off with Tyrone King, who again, Tyrone King's father is a legend at Alabama. An absolute legend, one of the best DBs of SEC history. Had some things come up, didn't go to the NFL, would have went in the first round, but he ended up playing Canadian football and was great over there, and I know he would have been great in the NFL. He had a son, his name was Tyrone King Jr. Tyrone went about 5'10", probably 180, 190 pounds. Quick feet, good hands, good speed, press, bump and run, release, play off, play on. He could read defenses, react quick, very good cornerback. On the other side, we had Chi-Town, Jarrell Foster. Jarrell Foster was probably 5'9", 170 pounds, but don't let the attributes fool you. Jarrell could play bump and run, press coverage. He reminded me a lot of kind of a Tay Cody He reminds me a lot of a Bob Sanders. He was very aggressive, very fast, great vertical leap. Jarrell covered two of the best wide receivers in the nation his senior year. He covered Jason Swain and he covered Chad Jackson. Both of these guys were blue chip high school All-American, 5-star recruits, and he held his own. These guys were both in the top 15 players in the United States their senior year. Among the likes of Reggie Bush, Antonio Cromartie, the best player in the planet that year, Ernie Sims, even LeBron James before he stopped playing football, Jamarcus Russell, Chris Leak. Guy was an absolute dog, covering the best receivers in the country. We had Mike Williams, and we had Josh Sanders at strong safety, Rover. Mike was more accustomed to handling tight ends, being more aggressive coming downhill against the run, whereas Josh was more cover, handling running backs. Both of them brought different things to the table, but don't let the size fool you. If Josh or Mike, they would both come up and deliver the boom, got interceptions, and played very well. Our free safety, his time in Tallahassee, they called him the executioner. Played a lot like Derek Gibson, Chris Hope, Derwin James, Dexter Jackson, Ed Reed, Darren Woodson, or Charles Woodson when he played safety. Darius McClure was an absolute ball-hawking free safety. He played center field. If your quarterback overthrew the ball or underestimated his speed because he had great burst, great first step, great makeup speed, great instincts as a safety, intercepted, and most of the time he's going to the house. Like I say, my senior year, our secondary was the best in the state as well as ranked in the nation. They were nationally ranked. At one time we led the state and maybe led the nation in interceptions. Couldn't run them. You had to pass. Defensive ends pinned their ears back, went after the quarterback. And this is the time where teams still ran the option. This is before zone read. This is where teams ran on first, ran on second, and passed. Outside of Hoover, maybe us and a couple other schools, most schools didn't even have a real quarterback. It was buck, blast, dive, option right, option left, fake fullback, pitch to the wing back or tailback. That was offense. And we shut them down. On the offensive side of the ball, I start with our quarterback. Had a strong arm, not the strongest, but he was a smart, good size, good heart, very mobile quarterback. He was bagged up by Jake DeRoy. We had Gerald Cook. We called him Buki. Great decision maker. Our fullback. You ever see one of those balls that's on a track hole? One of those things that they throw into a building? That's what we had. We had Aaron Brown. We called him 8-ball. 8-ball was a short, stubby, low to the ground runner and blocker. He was tough to get around and tough to bring down. He was physical. He would hit you first, hit you second, pick you up off the ground and hit you again. He blocked for Stanley King, T.J. Slaughter, Alex Williams, Walter Debs. The first two, Stanley King and T.J. Slaughter, were very different. Stanley was more of a Warwick Dunn or Darren Sproles type of back. Hit the hole, disappear, come out, and he's gone. T.J. had a little bit of everything. T.J. could run over you, he could run around you, he could make a cut, and he can go the distance. So our offense and our backfield was loaded. Myself was at receiver, Adrian Steele, Rashard Slaughter, and Jonathan Webb. Our offensive line, starting with our tight ends, Peanut Butter, Michael Evans, Joe Robinson, one of the strongest men in the world. We had Demetrius A.G., a 3-year starter. Frank Stone, Chris Moore, Pat Cottrell. not overly big, but they were fundamentally sound and played with technique. And we had a very explosive offense, so it all starts in the trenches up front. Those men did their job. Besides the meekest AG, most of our offensive linemen were probably 20 pounds lighter than most defenses they faced. And they dominated. Dominated. I seen our offensive linemen break men's wheel my senior year. I seen them crush spirits. And we had one of the best kickers in the state, Mike Sellers. So now you met the team, you met the players. Head coached by Tony Lunsford with a wonderful and amazing coaching staff. We started the season against Shays Valley at home at the Tiger Cage. Once the ball was kicked off, Stanley and TJ pretty much put it out of reach early. I had an opportunity in this game to etch my name in the history books. Got one hand on the ball on an overthrow. And at this time, besides Hoover, Tuscaloosa Central, Tuscaloosa County, Decatur, Jess Lanier, and Clay Chalkville, most of the teams in the state were undersized. Cornerback was covering me, was 4 foot nothing. Beat him on a slant route. Buki gets a little high, can only get one hand on, 2 fingers on it, couldn't bring it in. I would have walked in the end zone from 60 yards. Later on in the game, I ran a crossing route. He just a little high. I hated that because those were my opportunities I would have scored. But we won. We won big. We rolled. We played very good football. I'll give y'all an example. Make sure y'all get this. So we roll out. Back then, you didn't have social media like it is now. You didn't even have social media. There was no Facebook, no TikTok, no Twitter, no Black Planet, no MySpace. You saw people out, you met people at church, or people sent messages how trash talking was. So our next game was Hueytown. Hueytown had run their mouth because they beat us the year before. Now, mind you, most grass is 2 to 3 inches. You step in it, little print. Hueytown grass was over your ankles. That's sloppy field, terrible field. And these guys had ran their mouth, and they really thought that they were going to beat us 2 times in a row. No. The game was over with after TJ scored, pretty much. It was 7-0. Their seniors were crying. Probably one of the games we got one of the worst butt chewings I've ever experienced for as a team, not individual players, but as a team. I think Pete hit the running back and caused a fumble, or Clarence got an interception. I think Clarence got an interception, and he tried to return it. He got tackled. Gets tackled, gets up, pulls his helmet off. That's a penalty. Pete smoked somebody. They fumbled the ball. Everybody else walking back like the play is over. D picks the ball up. Darius McClure picks it up, goes to the house, untouched. He gets to the 5-yard line. He takes a Jordan step, jumps in the end zone, dives, both hands on the ball, stretched out like Superman. Gets a penalty. We're up big. It's probably like 35 or 28-0 by halftime. So if you played Hueytown during that time, the locker room you went into was underneath the home stands. So we go in there all smiling and we're celebrating. And Coach Burrow, Coach Lumford, Coach Jackson, Coach Cook, Coach King, all of them lit into us at one time like we were losing. I mean, we were just celebrating. It was out of control, and they lit into us, and we felt about that big coming out the locker room after halftime. So we got them. So now we're moving on to the season, and we're rolling. We're starting to garner more respect in the state. So at this time, Hoover was a juggernaut. This is before the reality show 2-a-days. Hoover is ranked in the nation in the top 5. They're fighting for the national championship of high school football. The 2 best teams considered at that time were Hoover and De La Salle. And we all know De La Salle didn't lose a game for a very, very long time, over a 10 or 12 year period. And Tuscaloosa County goes to Hoover, Alabama, and they don't punch them in the mouth. They kick the door down and smoke their ass. Monday, we come in. Coach Burrows says hell must freeze over because the number 1 team in the state's headed to Adamsville, Alabama. They had a top 30 player. He was a 5-star recruit at fullback and linebacker. Name was LaRon McClain. They had great size. They had a good team. They were thinking they were going to come into Minor and walk out with a victory. This is ABC and Fox sideline and Friday night blitz game of the week. This is the state's game of the week. This is the biggest game on the slate that Friday night. Minor versus Tuscaloosa County. And we were picked to lose by Ron Ingram. And Oliver G. let Ron England know after the game. It was a tough game in the first half. And the second half, they started to ride 8 ball. They started to hit him in the flat, hit him on a fake fullback play, dunk to the fullback, got to the goal line. They started to let him eat. We ended up winning that game and really kind of set the stage to be the number 1 team in the state. Because before that, we smacked Bob Jones. We had a physical game against Justin Neer, smacked Austin. And it all came down to that Tuscaloosa County game. We won 23-7. We played Grissom. Grissom had a wide receiver by the name of Jason Swain. That was our homecoming. Jason Swain was a blue chip 5-star All-American. Parade, Under Armour, ESPN All-American. This is before ESPN. You had Under Armour, and he was a Parade high school All-American. The number 2 wide receiver in the state and a top 5 wide receiver nationally. And we won that game. Offense struggled, defense saved us. So we go into the Decatur game. Now the Decatur game is kind of the moment I will never forget because it was their homecoming. And it was a good game, kind of early. And Jonathan Webb was going off. And I will never forget being on the sideline. I can't speak for y'all high school, but at Minor, running backs and wide receivers sent the plays in. You had your coaches in the press box. Tony had a headset. Coach Cook had a headset, maybe one other coach. We didn't do signals. We didn't do the boards. We didn't do all that goofy stuff. You sent the play in by the wide receivers or a running back. So we would rotate. And Jonathan Webb was having a monster game. Like, he was like Randy Moss. He was catching bombs. He was catching deep fades. And it was me and Alex Williams and Carlos McGee on the sideline. I was waiting to get ready to go back in the game. And they were like, man, Birdman going off. Because we called him Birdman. I said, well, if my opportunity come, I already had opportunity the first game. It didn't work out. But if it come, I'm going to be ready and I'm going to make the most out of it. Well, we was in pro, which was our single back or I formation. And we had 2 wide receivers. We won in the wing T. Our base offense was wing T. So the play got called. My favorite route, besides a slant, was a post. Cornerback takes his back to the sideline, so he's giving me the inside. And the way he played, I had a straight shot. I took off, made my cut. When I come out the break, Buki throws it. I'm open. This is my moment. I'm finna catch this ball. I'm finna walk in the end zone because there's no safety. I'm finna put the finger up, number 1. I'm finna get cussed out, and I'm finna score. Now, before I tell you the rest of this story, my 10th grade year was our first year at Minor. We played B team against Shays Valley. We were blowing them out. Mike Williams throws a bomb. I don't know how it happened, but he threw it right to the goal post. I caught it and just ducked out the way from running smack into the goal post. And I remember running back to the sideline, and Coach Pike said, son, you got to hand the referee the ball. And I said, oh, I don't fumble. I don't fumble. I don't get a ball up. Just a little side note. So anyway, Buki throws it. I'm there. I make my cut. I'm coming. This is my moment. This is it. 60, 70 yards untouched. Finna, live my dream. And when I broke, the DB tripped. And I remember going back, because we would come in on Saturday and we would kind of do some light workout. People would get treatment and we would watch film as a team, because Monday you watch film as a group and then you watch film on the next week opponent. And they graded you. Monday they gave everybody a grade for the game, how everybody did by position. So we watched it as a team, and I remember sitting there next to Coach Burrow and watching the play, and it just made me almost want to puke, because that was it. He just tripped, and you got one foot on the ground, your other foot getting ready to come, and he just hit that foot when he fell. And no pass interference, and that was my moment. We ended up losing that game. And I always blame I blame myself, because that was my chance. But we got outplayed. They weren't better than us. They wanted it more. And so we kind of got things together and settled down, and we got back on track. At that time, I think we was number one in the state. We was the number one team in 6A. And we played at Spartan. And we roared. We came out and we got back on track and took care of business. Won 55-17. Last game of the season. I don't know what happened. I do not know what happened, because Clay Chalkville was not better than us. Offense was just in the bind. And I never forget, Clay Chalkville's sideline and the stands are real close. Like you about maybe 10 foot from the out of bounds line, and then where you sit or where you stand, the seats are right there. And some fans were giving the coaching staff a hard time. And I remember turning around and I said, hey y'all, look, when we were running up the score, y'all were loving the coaches, loving us. This is football. Right now we're not playing good. We need support. We don't need crazy stuff, because we can win. It's not the coach call, it's us. Because these are the same plays we were running, blowing teams out. We just had a bad night. It was a sloppy night. Field condition was sloppy. They had high grade, an ugly. Clay Chalkville had a shitty stadium. That's probably besides Hueytown and Jess Lanier Stadium. Well, Jess Lanier had an okay stadium, but that was a joke. And they beat us 7-0. We finished the regular season 8-2. Okay, we still host a game in the first round, and we drew Huffman. Revenge. Only thing we were thinking about. My junior year, 2001, we played Huffman in the first round. And this is before Andre Smith. Huffman did not have an offensive lineman under 6'2", 320. They had 4 offensive linemen that were D1 commitments. Their biggest offensive lineman was like 6'5", 340. They had grown men on the line. Demetrius A.G. made the first tackle. Cartrell scored a touchdown in the end. And in between that, they beat the brakes off us. So this was personal. This is revenge. We got them coming to the Tiger Cage. We got them coming to the House of Pain. We got them coming, and we're going to take care of business. We actually had 8 ball, number 40. We grinded it out with Stanley. We grinded it out with TJ. And we got behind Aaron Brown. Aaron Brown put everybody on his back. He put Jefferson County on his back, and he delivered. We won 21-0. So lo and behold, essentially what you would call Florida State Miami, what you would call Alabama, Auburn, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, USC, Notre Dame, Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Grambling versus Southern, an old rivalry. Berry, now Hoover, versus Minor at the Hoover Met, which was essentially Alabama and Georgia in the SEC championship in 2012. It was the 6A state championship. The two best teams in classified 6A. We had to go on the road because we lost. We didn't take care of our business. When I tell y'all a moment in time like Friday Night Lights, any given Sunday, Varsity Blues, Remember the Titans. When I went to Minor, Minor was half white, half black, African American, Caucasian. It wasn't all black, it wasn't all white. We mixed, we got along, we interacted with our teammates. We were family. We did not have the best. We had good stuff. They did the best they could for us financially. Coach Burrows in the locker room changing the Meek's AG spike. He had to drill a hole and use a screwdriver to get it out. And he said, hell, if you was at Hoover, they would give you brand new fucking cleats. They don't even want to share film. So you better get your mind right, because it's us versus them. We were fired up. The game of the century for me and all of us. The biggest stage the state has to offer. We're going to the Hoover Met to prove we're worthy to get that ring to be great. Now, some of y'all younger folks may not know. Y'all may know Julio Jones. You may know of Cadillac Williams. You may even know of Tim Castile, Jamarcus Russell. But there was a young man that played at Hoover High School who was one of the greatest players of high school football in the state of Alabama. Went on to Florida, got drafted in the second round to the New England Patriots. He was a blue chip, 5-star, All-American recruit. They had a running back who I grew up with, played Little League with. They had Michael Ray Galvin. They had Curtis Dawson. They had John Parker Wilson. They had a cornerback who signed to Notre Dame. This is before Friday Night Lights. We come in 40, probably 50, 60 deep. Hoover dressed 100, over 100 players. And it's a home game. The Met was sold out. Now, mind you, when the class of 2001 played at home against Shays Valley, it was sort of like that. It was a mucky, muddy, foggy night. Something I will never forget. The bus ride up to the stadium, we didn't take 65. We went 59. We went through Bessemer, came the back way, hit Highway 150. The lights are on. This is the biggest opportunity. This is the game of the century, the game of the week. Everybody's here. All media outlets in the state are covering this game. This is the matchup that's been waiting on. Minor's been aching for a shot. They've been aching for that Frazier Ali. I can't set it up no better. A back and forth game. A back and forth game. When I tell y'all the emotional roller coaster we went through that night is something I will never forget. I will never forget being at the Hoover Met and we walked around and went through the wrong door and walked in Hoover's locker room, me and Galen Hayton, looking them guys right in their face and letting them know we're here. What they say, let the paramedics sort them out, put the women, children to bed, we going to hunt. We did that. We did that. We walked in that locker room by mistake, but we didn't bag out. We let them know we're here and we're coming. It's one of those moments, like I say, it's like Friday Night Lights when they played against Dallas Carter. Odessa Permy played against Dallas Carter. It's like Varsity Blues when Mox got in the game. It's that type of moment. How that movie goes, this is how this game went. A back and forth battle. Hoover took the lead in the fourth quarter. We had 10 points. Hoover took the lead. 14-10. They kicked the ball off to Stanley King. Stanley King went up the away sideline. He wasn't running for himself, for his family. He wasn't running for Minor. When Stanley took that kickoff back, He was running for McDonald's Chapel, Capstown, Stacey Hollow, Mugger, Edgewater, Maytown, Docena, Graysville, Adamsville, Forestdale, Pratt City Cutoff. I thought we would have got a penalty because all of us went up the sideline with Stanley. When I tell y'all, when if you watch the movie Friday Night Lights and they come out and kick that ball and Comer takes that kickoff return back for a touchdown, or you remember that national championship game where Auburn grabbed the lead against Florida State and they kicked that ball off and that boy took it to the house untouched? It was that type of moment, that magnitude of our lives, because we were down. I mean, this had been a tough game. It was 17 we were leading. Hoover scored, made it 14-10. They were stopping us, we were stopping them. It's that magnitude of a moment in our life. Stanley took that ball back in the mud and did not check up, didn't slide, didn't do nothing. When he hit that sideline, he hit warp drive, light speed. What they used to say, he can flat fly. That boy is vapor. I'm telling you. It's still playing in my mind. I'm sitting here seeing it. I'm sitting here and everybody's saying, go, go. And he took it to the house and it's 17-14. Minor leading late in the fourth quarter of the second round of the state playoffs in 6A. They stop us. Somebody gets hurt. Randolph Strickland goes in. How I know somebody gets hurt is because Randolph had a clean uniform. It's muddy. We're in all white. I had to change spat. A lot of us had to get respatted at halftime because it was muddy. Your gloves were muddy, your jersey, everything. He had a fresh uniform on. Mike punt the ball, good punt. He runs downfield. He don't really have a chance to break down because it's mud. He slides. Breaks contained, let Chad Jackson go up the sideline. He gets knocked out about the 5 or 4 yard line. It took him a few plays to punch it in. Like it was a fight because we weren't going out. They punched it in, made it 21-17. We got the ball. We did everything we could. When the score read 0-0, I cried. Whew, God. Oh, man. When that score read 0-0, it's like a piece of me died. Because it was over. That was the last time I was going to ever put on a purple and white uniform. That was the last time I wore that helmet. The last time I went out with that fine group of men to play. And I remember shaking everybody's hand. I had met Chad before, so we talked. And I was like, go Noles, man, you're a great player. You did good. Y'all just a little bit better than us tonight, but we should have won this game. And he said good things. And we get in the locker room, and Coach gave an emotional speech. And it doesn't dawn on you that it's over. It's like you just kind of stuck. Because the crowd was stuck, we were stuck. We're here. We're taking this. And I remember hugging Pete. Me and him cried. Me and Demetrius. I call him Little Randy because his dad's name was Randy. His brother's name was Randy, so I call him Little Randy. I call him Little Randy. We hugged. Me and Slope, we hugged. We cried. Me and Danny cried. I hugged Galen. I hugged, everybody. I looked at TJ, looked at D, Buki, Andrew. I said, y'all got to get it done. And I just remember it was very sad, very quiet. Wasn't nobody laughing, nobody talking. And me and Alex Williams went back out on the field. Mind you, I still got my uniform on minus the helmet, shoulder pads, everything. And me and him were standing around the field. And we're just looking and taking it all in and getting ready for the next step of our life. Because now we got to become adults. The fun's over. We're in the real world now. And Coach Russ Probst came out to the middle of the field in a muddy, soaked field and shook me and Alex's hand. And he said, y'all were tough. We knew y'all advantage was speed And the way the conditions played in our favor. And y'all remind us a lot of Daphne. Y'all came here to win, but we was able to win. And he spoke to me and Alex and shook our hand, and that's something I'll never forget. And me and Alex stood out there, and finally we went back in. It was real. It was like a long time before we left. And everybody got themselves together, and we got on the bus and rode. It was real quiet. And I remember riding back from Hoover, Alabama, in Birmingham, all the way to Adamsville. Did not take the uniform off. I'm muddy, face is muddy, elbows, arms muddy, wristbands muddy, spat falling off, pants completely dirty. And one of the worst feelings you can ever feel is when you get back, you put your stuff in the locker, and you had a pile. You put your pants in a pile, your jersey in a pile. And I looked at that jersey for the last time, and I said, I'll never put it on. It's over. That was our moment. That was us against the world, and for a lot of us, that was it. And Monday, we came together after school as a team, and we turned our stuff in. I don't think we turned it in during the PE period. I think all of us waited to do it together, and that was a sad experience when you saw them purple double doors in the locker room closed, and you done gave your pads, your pants, your girdle, your helmet and shoulder pads, knowing that you would never put that stuff on again. I played with some tremendous guys, man. Danny McDaniel, Clarence Fuller. I played with Darius McClure, all-world athlete. One of the top players in the nation when he came out his senior year. Andrew Jones, Galen Hayton, Adrian Steele, love him to death, man. Me and him had a great relationship. Aaron Brown. I played with Kenneth Hollister, Darius Smiley, V. King, Courtney Covington, Brian Gavan. No, sorry, not Brian Gavan. He graduated a little bit before that. But I played with Clarence Williams, Stephen Corley, Charles Haskett. I played with Derek Johnson, Randy Agee, Demetrius Agee, Frank Stone. I played with some guys, man. I played with some guys on this team right here. We were trying to get it done. We were trying to bring a state championship back to Minor. I look at this stuff, man. I miss these days, man. All these guys gave their heart and soul. Terrence Wyndham, underrated offensive lineman, but blocked his ass off. Underrated as hell. Blocked his ass off, man. That's some of the funnest times of my life. I ride by that stadium, ride by the high school a lot, and it hits me. The smell of that grass, them lights, looking at the fans, all them people that would come and support us, all them folks that had that number 9 on their cheek, that number 9 on the side of their face. Gerald Cook's family made wristbands for us with our numbers on them, and I would give a lot of them away, and people would have that stuff on, supporting me, supporting the team. I miss all that stuff, man. I miss my guys. This was a fun time in my life, and I'm working on doing a story one day on a documentary or 30 for 30 film about the Minor Tenacious Tigers. Type of passion, type of heart you have to have. You have to dare to be great. You have to have audacity. You have to look teams straight in the face and have nerves of steel. And we did. We had the top defense. We had the top secondary. Our offense scored points. We had everything you wanted. We had a mixture, a blend of size and speed. We didn't have great size, but we had great speed. We had great heart. We just fell short. We just fell short. I don't know. 21-17, second round of the playoffs. We finished the season 9-3, but we returned the house of pain, the Tiger Cage, back to dominance. We went undefeated at home. Doesn't really mean much because we didn't accomplish the state championship, but man, that was fun. So I thank y'all for taking this ride with me. I thank y'all for enjoying this video. I hope it inspires somebody. I hope it's fun. I hope somebody has some memories of their time in high school. This is not just for football. If you played volleyball, you played basketball, you ran track, and you just had them memories. You was in a band, glee club, cheerleader. It was just a fun time, and I hope y'all enjoyed this. Just a little small piece of my memory, and y'all have a wonderful day.